Coming up next is our preview of the big British Championships taking place on Saturday. So now it's time for our race preview section, and we've got a big one this weekend on Saturday. Ledbury MCC presents the ACU British Grasstrack Championships. This is, of course, the British Championships for the 250cc solos, the 350cc solos, the 500 sidecars and the left-hand sidecars. And the British Championship event takes place on Saturday, starting at 12:30. Practice is from 10:30. Then they've got a great weekend, because on the Sunday there's the Ledbury Flyer as well, which we'll get to in a minute, which I think James is riding in the Ledbury Flyer on Sunday, aren't you, James?
Yes, I hope to be there, yeah. Got a busy week leading up to that, so I'll be there.
Yeah, so James will be there Sunday, and Mitchell is obviously a big meeting for you on Saturday, Mitch. Probably the biggest of the year, given the fact that there's been no European events.
Yeah, you're probably right. There's a lot riding on it for us and all the 500 sidecar crews, with the selections for Europe hanging on the balance.
Yeah. Oh, of course, that's a big part of it, isn't it? So, first of all, Russ, we'll start with the 250 solos. So, mate, hopefully you're ready, because that's obviously your class. But all of you can chip in whenever you want. But Russell, you are part of that meeting, so. Looking forward to it, Russ?
Yeah, same as Mitch. Biggest meeting of the year, really, for the 250s. Super competitive lineup by the looks of it now. Yeah, with a couple of people dropping out and a couple of extras coming in. Fingers crossed, here we go.
Yeah, so here is the lineup for the 250s. We've got Jordan Derrick, who is the ACU wildcard for the meeting. Carl Bedingfield, Adam Shipp, who is already a 250 two-time British champion. And he looked very quick at Frittenden as well. I don't know who caught him at Frittenden, but he looked... Was it Frittenden he rode? It was, wasn't it? Rode the 250.
It was Gareth. Yeah, the first Frittenden meeting, yeah.
Yeah, and he was very fast down there. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing that. Kai Ward, who's been going well this year on the 250. Nice, solid rider. Phil Thomas. Jake Mulford, who was your pairs partner, James, for the Frittenden meeting.
Yeah.
It wasn't?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll do right back on the 250. I know he's already dropped me a message a few times to work out what setup we should run and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Jake gets back on the 250, because he's been off it for 2 years now, is he?
Must be about that, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how he handles jumping down to the littler engine.
Yeah, and Tim Grigg is in the lineup alongside. I mean, you've got three riders here on the motocross style engines that are going to be the ones that you'll be racing, Russ, I reckon. Tim Grigg, Graham Thomas and David Knowles, Russ. I mean, do you fancy your chances against those three? What is it? Thomas and Knowles are both British champions themselves.
There we go.
Just frightening you to death here, aren't I? And
I'm sorry.
I claimed one over Graham over the race that doesn't go down in history at Frittenden, so
that's true.
That'll do for the year.
Yeah.
Russell, I'm sorry to say my money's on Shippy. As a rider from the Pit Bike Speedway Highway Academy, my money's on Shippy to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's three or four of them. I think they're in with a big shout.
It'd be interesting to see how Cameron places in it as well.
Yeah, he's in there as well. Cameron Taylor. Luke Harris is another one that we haven't mentioned. Luke Harris is obviously a good rider too. Then we've got Martin Hollinsby. Chris Mackey is a non-starter, and taking his place is Adam Hawker, who's been going well. Chris Steele, Russell Little, whoever he is. Gary Cook, Luke Tuck, Ricky Scarborough is another one that I was picking out, because he went really well at Tallington. And we know that Rick's a good rider as well. Ollie Stanford, John Shipley, Lee Charles is a non-starter, and he's being replaced by Ben Phillips, who's going well. Colin Howe, Paul Duffy and Ben Worrell. So, I mean, as lineups go, James, it's a tough one. You've already mentioned Cameron and Jake, but
yeah. It's hard to pick a winner out of that. Shippey's obviously going to be up there. He's a very good 250 rider, and Jake's got a lot of experience now riding on the bigger bike, so that may help him, or it may hinder him with the lack of power he's going to suddenly have. But I'd like to see Cameron do really well. He obviously did well at the Youth British Championships, and he's been riding well all year round everywhere. So it'd be nice to see him do really well. His dad's been a great help in my career, so it'll be great to see sort of Cameron sort of take the reins on and push on a little bit here.
Yeah. So Mitch is going for Adam Ship. If you had to be pushed on one, James, where do you reckon the win is going to come from in that class?
Oh, this is going to be difficult. Really is. I would say possibly Jake, just for I would say Jake from his experience over everyone else. Maybe a little bit sharper with doing more riding with the speedway and stuff. So I'm gonna say Jake. It's going to be between Jake and Adam, I think, really.
To be fair, Gareth, although I've said Shippey, I'd love Russ to win it, but the only problem with Russ winning it is you'd never get past your intro on the podcast.
That is true. It would trump his Wimborne Whopper title, though, wouldn't it?
Mate, yeah.
Well, if you're going with Shippey and Jake Mulford, I'll go Cameron Taylor for the 250s. We'll see how that goes.
Is Russ going for himself?
Yeah, it's unfair to make him choose one, I reckon. You're going to back yourself, Russ. You've got to back yourself, haven't you?
No. I'm backing Shippey. Obviously, I'd love to see Adam win it. It'd be great to see him win it after nearly 20 years. 2003 was the last time he won it. But I think Shippey, Jake Mulford, obviously Luke Harris and Cameron, they're all as quick as each other. And if they'll make the final, close your eyes, I reckon.
I think the middle order is going to be really, really good racing, to be fair, with the level of the motocross engines in there. It's shame I can't be I'd love to watch that.
I think depending on the track, I wouldn't rule out Nosey either.
No. He's a very very widely sort of rider, isn't he? A lot of experience there.
Yeah. It's one of the best 250 lineups I can remember for years. Ricky Scarborough's the other one I mentioned. Who knows?
The class is strong at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is really strong. It is. Now, one of the classes that doesn't seem very strong at the moment, has struggled for the last few years, but has, for some reason, got a brilliant lineup in the British Championships, is the 350 class. Because, well, if I go down this list, there's a lot of names to pick out here as well that could do the winning. Marcus Crutchington's at the top, but Marcus has struggled a little bit. But here we go. Wayne Broadhurst, Tony Atkin comes back into the 350s. Rob Finlow, who hasn't ridden yet but has joined again. John Cox, Barry Powell, Jamie Fenn-Smith, Paul Hurry is in the lineup. Dave Mears, Paul Cooper, Neil Taylor, Ricky Sanford, Andrew Whittaker. I have missed out a few there, but those riders, Paul Hurry obviously is an ex-European champion, but the rest of them, they've all on their day beaten each other. And again, that 350 lineup is looking incredible.
I think looking at that, Gareth, I think there's three standout names there that you could prompt as podium candidates, but there's no way anyone could put them in any order. Do you know what I mean?
No.
There's you couldn't really name the 8 for the final, and the 3 for the three on paper for the podium. Who knows which way it's going to go? Are they going to be the 3 for the podium? I've got no idea.
I think it'd be tight between obviously Paul Hurry's been doing some racing, and I think Coops has, but he's been on sort of motocross bikes and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how good Coops is after sort of quite a long spell off the bike. So they're definitely two that are going to be up there. But like Mitch said, I wouldn't like to pick the top 8, let alone try and pick which order the top 3, or if the top 3 at all. That's going to be quite difficult.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I was down at Isle of Wight the other day with Tony Aitken, and I haven't ridden against Tony for years. And I'm going to mention him a bit later in the cast. But Tony's such a good rider, and he's technical ability. He's awesome. And if he can pop out a start, Tony can beat anybody.
Yeah, I can remember racing him at Stoke, and he ended up putting me in all sorts of positions I didn't really want to be in, and he came in laughing at the end of the race, and he said, "Oh, I thought I'd try, mess you around a little bit," and he put me in. I was in all sorts of gaps.
That was just the showers.
Yeah.
Just looking at there's 4 that are leaping out at me. I don't know who your 3 are, Mitch. We'll find out in a minute. But sort of Paul Cooper, Paul Hurry, Rob Finlow, and Tony Atkin are the 4 that stick out to me. And ironically, Tony, being 50 plus, is the one that said the most. He'll be the most race fit of those 4.
Yeah, well, Paul Hurry's done a lot of speedway this year. I know he's not gone the way he'd wanted to, but he has done a lot of laps and a lot of starts. Coops probably hasn't done that much, but he's been doing some flat track racing, but Coops he's got so much natural ability. You put Coops on anything, whether it's a go-kart, whether it's a motocross bike or a flat track bike or whatever it is, he's a born racer. So you can never count Coops out. And the way he rides, he can ride for absolute on the stop, which sometimes on the 350 you've got to. And we've mentioned Tony, but then there's other ones, like Super Dave can pop out a start and get in amongst it, and Rob Finlow, and there's it's a bit like the 250s. I couldn't name out of that list. I could not name 8 for the final.
I think if any of them pop out at the start, they could all sort of cause a bit of carnage. Really, Neil could, Wayne Braunhurst, all of them sort of they. On the right track on the right day, I think they could beat anyone. So
yeah, you're right.
Like Mitch said, it's difficult to sort of sit back and go, well, this is the top 3. That's granted, but I don't think you can.
On paper, there's a top 3, but I don't think you couldn't. Yeah.
Who's your top 3 then? Who's your top 3, Mitch? Who are you?
On paper, I would say Coops, Hurry, and Aitken, but that means nothing. That's based on how well I know them and past experience and how well I know they can ride. But as I said, Super Dave pops out a start. Super Dave could be British champion or one of the Taylor boys or or one of the youngsters. It's absolutely mental, really. And the thing with the 350s is you have to ride them that hard because you haven't got an excess of power. It's all about keeping your wheels in line, keeping your corner speed up. A little bit similar to the 250s. You haven't got that power to accelerate.
No, the 250s are quite hard to ride. But when I jumped to the 500, and it was so much easier than the 250 because you have to be so precise all the time. You can't afford to, run a bit wide because all of a sudden, especially on the Jawas, you've lost it all, and it takes so long for them to get going again.
Yeah,
you've written your race off quite easily in one corner. So,
all right, Gareth, who's your winner?
I'm going to go with Tony Atkin. I think it would be an incredible story. Imagine if Adam Shipp wins the 250s and Tony Atkin wins the 350s. It's like we've gone back in time.
It could get worse.
Get Mitch winning as well.
Yeah. Cecil Taylor's in the 500 sidecars. Did you know?
I'd love to see Tony win. As long as they all have a good safe day, I don't really mind. You can't. How can you count Paul Hurry out? You can't. Look at him at Frittenden in the wet. He was on fire. His experience is second to none. So, I can't. I'd like to make a prediction, but I honestly can't.
Russell?
I was hoping you wasn't going to come to me, to be honest. Listening to you three, I can't agree with you or more, to be honest. I do think it is whoever's going to get out the gate in the final. I think it's great to see Rob Finlow back because obviously, as far as we were aware, Rob had retired. So it's great that Rob's come back to defend his title. But I just think it's a general shame as well that it takes the British Championships to get them all out on the 350s because we've sat here many a night saying, well, the class is pretty much done, really, isn't it? But then we're talking about the British Championships now. We're talking about sort of 6 or 7 riders that could probably win it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you're sitting on the fence then, Russ?
Yeah.
What about you then, James? Where's your money going?
I'm gonna say I think Paul Hurry would probably win it. But again, it's down to the track, down to the day. If it's a very technical track, it could bring out all sorts of, sort of curveballs. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to have sort of Paul, Hurry, Coops, Tony Atkins, I think would be the top three. I wouldn't like to say what order, and I'm definitely not going to say who's going to be in the final, because that's going to be, down to, who has laid luck on their side and who gets the right draw on the day, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the other riders I didn't mention were Tim Neal, Paul Whiteham Jr., Tom Davis, Luke Tuck, Martin Adams, Daniel Broughton, Ricky Sanford, I think I mentioned actually, Steve Tideswell, Steve Pearce, Liam Ashcroft, who got plenty of experience in at the weekend, Russ, and Jodie Hodgson. So, there's no mugs among them really, but that's a tough competition. We're looking forward to that. So we'll move on to the 500 sidecars, Mitch, and obviously it's your class. And first of all, Simon Beard had entered the meeting, but he has now withdrawn. So we're down to 11 outfits to start with. Really, I want to get your thoughts on the fact that there's 11 outfits at the British Championships.
Well, it is what it is, unfortunately. The class has been, it's in the middle of a massive changeover. You've got the likes of, Sean, who's the current champion, he has pretty much packed up. We've lost Tony Cook, we've lost, Simon's not running, Scott Dunn, Mike Reed, Wayne Reed. It's on a changeover at the moment. But to balance that out, you've got a lot of crews coming through with, Richard Jenner coming back in, Rachel, Jake Gearing, Chris Neame. There's another guy, Pope as well. So there's a new crop coming through. And there's a bunch of us in the middle that have been sort of in both sort of a foot in both sort of sectors, if you like. So I think for a lot of the riders, it's going to be their first or second British Championship, and for several of them, it's going to be their fourth or fifth, and for a few of them, it's going to be their eighth or ninth or 10th. So yeah, as regards 11, I know that Fred Jenner wanted to do it. He didn't want to go there as a reserve, which I can fully understand. And he basically has withdrawn before the meeting as being the reserve.
Yeah.
And now a place has become available. It's a shame that he can't go, but perhaps the people, I don't know, could have made their mind up a bit sooner, or if it's an injury, then there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I don't really know much about what happened to Simon, only the fact that he's not riding. But it was a shame, because I was looking forward to seeing Simon back on a bike. So we all were.
I mean, I spoke to him at GTSA in the socially distanced beer tent before the meeting at the qualifier, and Simon was really up for it. He was really keen. He was really positive about it. He was really keen about it, and that was great, because Simon's one of those guys that he's a bit like what we were saying about the 350s. If Simon pops out at the start, you can't pass him, you can't beat him. He's such a good rider, and obviously for him to pack up when he did, it became very difficult with him when he lost his dad, and stuff like that. I think Simon's got some, he's got some races left in him. He's one of the real ones that, over the years, he should have won a British Championship. I mean, Simon's been so good, especially, he won a European Sidecar semi-final. He's been in countless European finals. He should have won a British title at some point in his career, and sadly he hasn't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, definitely. I mean, he's been a stalwart of the class, that's for sure. So the lineup, the only one in the lineup who's actually ever won a British title is Josh Goodwin.
He's won loads. He's had so many. He needs to stop hogging them. Basically.
He's the only driver who's won a British Championship. So if there's a big likelihood that it could go elsewhere. Oh, and Danny Hogg is passenger in Arran Vale. Of course, Danny's won 9 British Championships, has he? So
yeah, he's been hogging them as well, as old Hoggy.
Yeah. But the rest of the lineup. So we've got Sean Hughes and Lewis Bennett. Obviously, youngsters. They were really quick when they first started on the scene, and hopefully they'll go well at the British Championships. Almost home turf for them, isn't it? Mitch Godden and Paul Smith, which we'll talk about in a minute. Rachel Cox, good to see Rachel in the British Championships as well with her passenger Scott Gutteridge. Josh Goodwin and Liam Brown, as we've mentioned. James Hogg and Scott Goodwin, Dan Berwick and Mark Hopkins, who won the Frittenden meeting earlier in the year, surprised everyone by winning that. Phil Rowlands and Tom Rowlands, Chris Neame, Wayne Powell, James Hartley and Sam Heath, Aaron Vale and Danny Hogg, and then Tasha Bartlett and Kira Southgate. Now, what strikes you about this, Mitch, is that actually you look down that list and thinking about it being a one-off final, anyone can beat anyone at any point. I mean, there's nobody in there that you think, well, they're unstoppable. Like,
the important thing, Gareth, is to understand the rules of the competition in the fact that the qualification system for our European Championship in 2022 is finished after the intermediate stage. So during the heats, we're racing for points and we're racing for positions. After the heats have been completed, there's a line drawn under the points. And then after that point, it's just, it's 4 laps to be the champion. And to be perfectly honest with you, it could be any one of 5-6 crews. There's nothing to say that Natasha can't jump out and win the final, or James Hogg or James Hartley or Josh or myself or Dan. It's absolutely crackers. And I think the conditions are going to play a part in part of the story come Saturday. It's not going to be solely down to experience. It's going to anything can happen. Yeah, anything can happen. It's really wide open. It really is. Yeah. But I mean, Josh and Liam, we'll be going for it. We've put, we've really put the past behind us. We've had it. It was a great, at the Fantasia meeting, Josh and Liam came over to us and we had a really good chat. And we went out and we raced hard all day long. And we've raced at other places as well. And it's all about Saturday. As far as we're concerned, we're not carrying any baggage with us, and I believe as far as they're concerned, they're not carrying any baggage with us. So, as regards to sort of the showdown between us and them, it's just one event, one day, 4 laps. But you chuck into that the fact that anyone else can win. It's not a foregone conclusion that Josh and Liam or me and Paul are even going to be on the podium. There's nothing stopping the Welsh boys winning it. There's nothing stopping Dan winning it. It could be anyone.
Yeah, anything could happen. I mean, that's why it's a very exciting competition on Saturday, and we're looking forward to it. But obviously, we wish you all the best with it, Mitch, and to Paul. It's
something we've worked hard towards. It's we weren't sure whether we were going to do it again, whether we were going to take the ACU license or whether we were going to look elsewhere for a license. With the way that the corona has happened and the way that the cards have been dealt, this is where we are. We've enjoyed doing the English meetings this year. And Saturday is the next one. And we'll give it our all.
Good stuff. I don't know if James. I don't know if you've caught any of the 500 sidecars this year. I mean, they've probably not been at too many tracks you've been at. Talking to Simon Beard, you've passengered Simon Beard, actually, haven't you?
Yeah. That was an interesting day. I was meant to be just doing the solo, and then I decided I'll be stupid and do 2 classes. So made it a very interesting day. But I mean, I've only driven a 500 once, and it's a weird experience. I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. It took me a little while to get my head around it.
That's the last thing you need is him joining the 500 side, getting the training wheel on.
It doesn't tend to suit leg trailers very well.
No, I found that out. I tried, I went into the corner. I started trying to get my leg off and start pushing on the side, and it wasn't going anywhere. I still went straight. It was a bit of a weird, there was a bit of panic going on.
You have to go right-handed, James, when you get old enough.
Yeah. I have been tempted. I had to be big enough to go on a 1,000 sidecar first. I'm still a bit too small.
Yeah, you have to grow a gut and everything. Right, so the 500 sidecars sounds pretty much, pretty wide open, we're predicting. The other class is the left-hand sidecars. 10 outfits line up for the left-hand sidecars. Interesting to note that 5 of the 10 are called Penfold. You've got Billy Penfold, Tom Penfold, Will Penfold, Tony Penfold and Josh Penfold. And their respective passengers, Warren Atkinson, William Naden, Ricky Pay, Mark Hopkins, he's with Alex Bowman, isn't he? Ryan Barker and Dan Woodbridge.
Well, Gareth,
so-
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think Penfold's going to win.
You do. Well, which one though?
No,
I think it might be the other
generally,
Penfold though.
I'm going for Penfold.
Could be Penfold. Well, I mean, Rob Heath and Kyle Fish are the reigning champions.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So that throws a spanner in the works. But obviously, Will Penfold and Ricky Pay. I know you chat to Ricky a little bit, James, and they've got this Godden thing at the moment that they seem to be absolutely loving. It's Will's dad's bike.
Yeah, that was it was an interesting thing when they started building that. I had Ricky and Will on the phone and got them involved with Tornado, like the guy that does my engines, Freedom, to sort of get some bits sorted for him. So yeah, Ricky's a good friend of mine, so I'd love to see Ricky do it. I don't want him face planting in the mud again and nicking my goggles and gloves, because I had to clean them as well. So that was a bit more cleaning for me. But it's definitely going to be a Penfold, I think. Don't know which one, but
I mean, if you hedge your bets,
Will and Ricky to go.
Rob Heath, he's smart on that left-hander. He's going to take some beating.
He's there or thereabouts through the meeting, always, and then it gets to the final, and that's when he always has his best race every single time.
That's the only time you need to win a race, really, isn't it? It's you could win a maximum and flunk the final. So if you're going to win a race, the only race you win all day is the final. Then it's in, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely. So Rob Heath and Kyle Fish, they could be ones to beat. Billy Penfold and Warren Atkinson have been going well. Tom Penfold and William Naden, Tommy Penfold that is a very quick rider on the cross-plane machine. So it's fairly open, but I'm going to go Rob Heath and Kyle Fish. I know that they've always got something in reserve for the final.
Gareth, is Martin Cuff in it?
He's not on this list, actually, and I believe that's because he didn't ride in 2019.
Right, okay.
So he wouldn't have been on the gradings list, so I'm guessing that's why he's not on the list, Martin Cuff. That's the only thing I could think of, really.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame, because he's, again, another top rider. And there's a Jim Penfold as well isn't in the lineup, which would have been nice to see Jim in there as well. So
they seem to be having a bit of a resurgence, the left-handers, don't they? The numbers seem to be up again.
Yeah, but shame they've only got 10 for the championships. That's the problem, isn't it?
I guess it's a round robin.
I think they're doing 5 and 5.
Oh, okay.
I think, but it's a long way, of course, for them all. That's the other thing, is it's in the wrong part of the world, really.
And the other thing is as well, there used to be quite a strong Welsh left-hand scene. I can't remember seeing any sort of Welsh left-handers at the moment.
No, it's Alex Bauman. That's it. Yeah, he's the only one. He doesn't even live in Wales.
No, we used to get sort of Hill Phillips, and there was definitely sort of 5 or 6 of them from Wales, wasn't there?
Yeah, Terry Nicholas, Martin Jones, a whole load of them. Neil Owen back in the day as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's 10 of them making the journey. So I think it will be depending on how Will Penfold goes on the Godden. I think we might have a big outcome on what happens. So we look forward to that. So that is the British Championships.